who resigned as majority leader. We'll bring you reactions and some analysis. Also in this program, cardiovascular disease is now the #1 cause of death in adults in Ghana, with a significant portion being premature. Later in this bulletin as well, we'll bring you some other news stories from across the country. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. Now, this afternoon, the Majority Caucus in Parliament is expected to elect new leadership to steer the affairs of the caucus for the next few months until the next general election. This is after Oseche Mensah Bonsu voluntarily resigned as majority leader with immediate effect. The decision was announced at a meeting of the majority group on Wednesday, February 21, at the Jubilee House, convened by the President, Nana Akufo-Addo. And we'll bring you more of some reactions coming in. But this very announcement by the majority leader comes in just a few days after some members of the majority protested when they heard the news that indeed the executive and the party wanted to change the majority leader from Parliament. Let's bring you some excerpt of what the majority leader said at that meeting at the Jubilee House with the President and his colleagues, members of Parliament. And it says, "I have served the party diligently ever since I entered Parliament on the same day, January 7th, 1997, with the President. I believe I have served the party very well to the best of my ability, and I have no regrets. There is a difficult battle ahead of us, to which enterprise all of us must commit ourselves. We are at a critical juncture that requires absolute unity and peace within our ranks to successfully prosecute the Breaking the Eight agenda. In my absence from the country, certain issues had been raised to which I have been connected. I do not want to be the eye of the storm. Nothing should be done that would precipitate catastrophic consequences. That is why I am stressing peace and unity." And he goes on to say, "For those of my colleagues who are here, let me express my most sincere gratitude to you all for the partnership and assistance that you have provided to propel the agenda of the party and largely government." So that's the statement coming from the majority leader, Oseche Mensah Bonsu. Let's go to Evans Inkom. He's our head of the Ashanti Regional Bureau. He joins us live now. Evans, I'm wondering what the reactions are like coming from the constituency of Oseche Mensah Bonsu in your region.
Well, Beatrice, so it's been a mixed one. Some are beginning to even relish the movement, especially Mensah Bonsu in his element. To them, he has put the Swami constituency in a very special place as far as the Ghanaian politics is concerned. What some of them are not so convinced about is how he left the house. Some believe that there could be some fishy deal that the majority leader wasn't pleased with, so his departure from the house wasn't natural. That is what some of the people are saying. But to the die-hard supporters of the party, they believe that there's something underpinning that the party will have to deal with, because there has been some level of inconsistency, or some friction within the rank and file of the party, and they believe that the departure of Oseche Mensah Bonsu further re-echoes, the perception that all is not well as far as the ruling New Patriotic Party is concerned.
In addition to this, we're also aware that a few hours ahead of that announcement, there was the information that Oseche Mensah Bonsu now chairs the manifesto committee of Dr. Bawumia's campaign. Have you received any reactions to this latest appointment, as it were, as well?
Well, that appears to have neutralized, the growing concerns as far as the latest development is concerned. But they believe that Oseche Mensah Bonsu has carved a niche for himself, and technically, he is best placed to lead that particular task. As far as serving as the chairman of the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's campaign is concerned, they believe that he also commands some level of respect in the Ashanti region, even though, there were some challenges last year or 2 years ago with his constituencies. But even beyond that, he commands some level of respect. And with that political experience and also governance experience, they are expecting that he will be able to bring those things to the fore so that Dr. Bawumia will be able to break the eight.
Thank you very much. And that was Evans Inkum there. He is a man in the Ashanti region, the Ashanti Regional Bureau Chief William Evans Inkum. Thank you for bringing us those details. I'm also joined by Dr. Bensuglo Alidu Bukari. He's a lecturer at the Department of Politics and Governance, University for Development Studies. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Doc, are you surprised Oseche Mensah Bonsu resigned? In your view, will you say he was forced, like others are saying, or really it has been voluntary, like his statements indicate?
Yes, thank you for having me, and thanks to your listeners. Yes, in my view, the manner in which he resigned, of course, you remember that earlier we got the news that those changes were actually those changes were made, but they came and then refuted the idea that it was not true and that no leadership has been changed in MPP on the floor of Parliament. So for the majority leader to now resigning gives an indication that all is not well with the party. Of course, leadership is called and everything comes with it. Why did I say so? Probably the party is geared towards 2024 elections, and they know what it takes to lead them to break the eight. So I would say that what the MPP is doing now is politics of personification. So they are trying to show and tell Ghanaians who is qualified, who is fit to be where at one point in time, especially when we are just having less than 10 months or so to general election on 7th December 2024. So I'm not surprised. So he also give credence to the fact that all is not well with the party. And now they are trying to put things together and then match the opposition.
Doc, you're one of those, or part of the many voices saying that all is not well with the NPP, but the critics might ask you why you would sit outside of a party and conclude that all is not well when the party thinks that everything is okay. And in fact, if you read that excerpt of what Oseche Mensah Bonsu said at the Jubilee House yesterday during that meeting, I'll just quote a bit of it to you. He says there's a difficult battle ahead of us, to which enterprise all of us must commit ourselves. We are at a critical juncture that requires absolute unity and peace within our ranks to successfully prosecute the Breaking the Eight agenda. So why would you and others conclude that all is not well? He doesn't seem to suggest so in his statement.
Thank you for the question. Why was in the first place that release that we saw in social media that there were changes in the leadership front in MPP on the floor of Parliament? So that gives credence to the fact that every other thing is not well in the MPP. And so for them to now justify why it is so, probably the gentleman, Honorable Oseche Mensah, was forced to resign in order to justify that actually we have done this and we have done that. So my problem is that we should not wait for Ghanaians to read that in the media and for the party to come out and refute as those we read. So clearly, it tells you that things are not working as we expect.
And indeed, talking about the resistance from Parliament, indeed, in the latter part of Mr. Oseche Mensah-Bonsu's statement, he just talked about not being the center of this, what he calls cataclysmic consequences. Obviously, You've just mentioned a bit about the other caucus members who are not so happy. How should the party handle this, knowing that he really needs that unity if he wants to break the eight?
That's very good. That is why in my opening remarks I mentioned that the NPP has engaged in what I refer to as politics of personification now. So for them to amend that, especially Honorable Oseche Mensah is coming from a stronghold of NPP, the Ashanti region. So I think earlier there were these rumors, either him or other persons like Napo, with all due respect to him, the MP for Manchester North, right?
Yes.
So for me, I think the NPP, for them to address that, probably they will have to appease the voters in the country region by actually nominating someone from the region that in this way, in that way can, in my opinion, will resonate with the support base of the party in the region. I don't have anything short of this, especially when we have those rumors and the circumstances leading to his resignation. So you saw that the Joe White came out and then said, no, it is not true, nothing has happened, we never changed anything. Then the next moment, less than 24 hours, the man resigned. What is the conclusion now? The conclusion then is that the party is not well. It's not well with the party, and for them to get their supporters along with them in the central region particularly, they will have to maybe consider, probably, I'm sure that's what the party is thinking. Otherwise, of course, as I heard Ivan Tinku mentioning, he's part of the campaign of the vice president.
He's actually the chairman. He is actually the chair of the manifesto of
exactly. So beyond that, in addition, I think they will have to also consider someone, not necessarily from Ashanti, but someone of Akan, coming from that class. Probably that may also resonate well with their voters in the Ashanti region. That's my opinion, anyway.
All right, we'll have to end it here with you, and thank you very much for speaking to us. That was a political scientist. He's a lecturer at the Department of Politics and Governance, University for Development Studies, Dr. Gbonsuglo Alidu Bukari. And just for that correction, Matthew Poku Prempeh represents Mensia South constituency of the Ashanti region. Now, for the Executive Director at the African Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Rahman, looking at the circumstances, he is also concluding that Oseche Mensah-Bonsu was forced to take that decision.
Majority leaders or minority leaders don't resign. I think that let's get this clear. In our parliamentary history, they are usually reshuffled, moved based on deliberations, based on agreement between the caucus and the party. When you get to a point where an illustrious person, such as the current leader, getting to the point where we hear he has resigned, it's a novelty, and the only conclusion that we can come to is that he has been pushed. This is one of the finest MPs, apart from his longevity in Parliament. I think he's one of the most diligent MPs that we have in the House. He takes everything parliamentary business serious. Even meetings that are not committee meetings or that are not plenary, when you meet with him, he has his constitution, he has his standing orders. He's always cross-checking to make sure that the right things are done. And I think beyond that, he's also somebody who has a lot of interest in deepening our democracy and in making sure that, the institution of parliament grows and the institution of parliament is as independent as it can be.
And you heard that Dr. Rashid Rahman, he's the Executive Director of the African Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Let me remind you that Oseche Mensah Bonsu has been the majority leader in the 8th Parliament since 2017, after the new Patriotic Party NPP was elected in the December 7, 2016 polls. He entered the 2nd Parliament of the 4th Republic on January 7, 1997, after winning the 1996 election. Oseche Mensah Bonsu is currently the longest-serving Member of Parliament, serving his 7th term as a Member of Parliament for the people of Swami in the Ashanti region. We stay just a little bit longer in Parliament because the member representing South Dai constituency, Roxin Nelson Dafiamakpo, says he will file a right to information petition about the state of the Keta Port project. At the Meet the Press series in Accra on March 29, 2023, the Minister of Transport, Kweku Furiasiama, said actual construction would commence in January 2024 upon completion of the investor selection process, but work is yet to begin. Roxin Nelson Dafiamakpo tells 3FM News his RTI request follows concerns and information he has received from Venezuelans and other Ghanaians about the stalled project. The National Peace Council will facilitate this process. Okay, so we'll bring you that later. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM with me, Beatrice. When we come back, we'll bring you some more. Do stay with us.
Freezer, yeah, diaba. Adama for diaba. Freezer. Adama. What's the mention? Adama. Metimoswa, my sorry. Canino, Obo Moasia. I do prefer Nobium Unum San last at 9. I don't know what we did. Adama for Adama, from what we say. Yeah, the Adruba Cope, a ship will be a high technology. I could for freezer. When Kwan, and once open your 15 letters. No fugum, what's ya no fugum? What the bus here? If we be any of us, you, equal to say, over Timono. Then we sure say, woman showing Tassia. Then what's enough for now? Freezer, when up a day. Freezer, Tassia, a basson do so among Amoniaji. Omtina me, me was sick, Omtina me, but you may not do some doom. Adama, without Adama, no queer. Adama, you can't resist.
Ubenya Adama West Africa for edwe bi o baby bia ye ton kra ye ho edwu afi kayo ne kenkan enchoya ewo edre ho.
You're still here on the Midday News with me, Beatrice. Let's cross over to Parliament once again, where our correspondent, Komla Klucher, is standing by to bring us the latest from there. Komla, I can imagine the reactions coming from not just the majority caucus of the House, but also the other side.
Can you say that again?
I was asking you what the reaction has been from Parliament.
Well, it's a mixed reactions depending on which side of the House that you are. If you're in the minority, you do want to take advantage of it because it appears when there came, the MPP majority side took advantage and made all sort of comment. But one thing that's running through is the experience that Mensah is going to be leaving the House with has been reignited. The fact that he is the most experienced in the House, and also when it comes to legislation, procedure, and knowing of the standing orders and the rules of the House. That's what he's going to be going with. But the concern also is about the aftermath of this. If not handled well, could generate a lot of controversy. But the MPP majority have also been reacting to this and indicating that, it was a voluntary resignation, and so there is no issue whatsoever regarding this. And that Mensah himself told them in a full glare of His Excellency the President that it was a voluntary decision, even though he's also been given another role to play in the Dr. Baumia campaign to lead the manifesto drafting. And so it's been mixed reactions. But as we speak, the Speaker has not had any letter yet from the party indicating any change as of yet. And so we are told that there's a meeting later tomorrow of the National Council, after which they will communicate to the Speaker. Then if that is done, then the way forward will be known. It will still come back to the MPs to make a decision on that, even though the party may be nominating whoever they want to become. There are talks
out there. That yes, of course, it's just going to be an ascension where the deputy majority leader will become the majority leader, and then the chief whip will become the deputy, and in that order, with only one or two new entrants, like we did say yesterday. And so we're only hoping to see if the party makes a move by sending the dispatch to the speaker, then we can get a clearer sense of what it is. Business in the House is going normal. The deputy whip, who is the Tolong MP, Beatrice, who is the one who is leading it. I haven't seen Afenyo in the House today, or Seche Mensah himself. I have not seen him in the House today.
Komla, ideally, before you go, how long should it take before we have real communication and confirmation of Afenyo Marking taking the seat of Seche Mensah Bonsu?
There's no time limit to it, but you cannot leave the seat also vacant. And so the parties are minded by that. And so what we've seen in a recent past, for instance, if you take the NDC's own, theirs happened while the House was on recess. And so they had some bit of time, to inform the speaker. Now, the MPP does not have that time. And so they have to also consider time. And also the fact that there's a lot of government business that needs to be led, and the leader is the one to drive all of that. And so they will have to do that hopefully before the close of this week, so that from next week, the new leader would take over the chair and he would continue with leading government
business.
Government, yes, of course.
Thank you very much, Komla Klucha. He's our man in Parliament. We stay a bit on politics because the regional branches of political parties will sign off a peace pact in the run-up to the 2024 general election. The National Peace Council will facilitate this process separate from the national platform that will be provided to presidential candidates to commit to peace ahead of the polls. Reverend Dr. Edu Jemfi is the chairman of the National Peace Council.
You have to keep talking before you bring parties to the point where they are ready to dialogue. And so for us, we don't get discouraged. And it's an opportunity for them to talk. We listen to them. We hear what they are saying. It helps us to formulate new strategies as to how to deal with some of these things. This is something that we always done during the last week of the election. This year, we hope to do it at the regional level as well, to get commitment of the political parties at the regional level before we culminate in the final signing by the presidential candidates.
You heard Reverend Dr. Edu Jemfi. He's the chairman of the National Peace Council. Let's go way north, where fire has destroyed part of the yet-to-be-completed Youth Resource Center in Navrongo in the Kasina-Nankana municipality of the Upper East region. Several glass windows, PVC pipes, seats, doors, and electric poles are components of the huge sports facility caught in the Sunday morning inferno. It took the intervention of the Ghana National Fire Service to douse what may have been a devastating fire. The cause of the fire has yet to be confirmed, but gatekeepers at the facility suspect the fire came into the facility through a broken part of the fence wall. Ngosewene Gideon is the project manager, and he gave details about the incident to 3FM.
So the wall is broken. So I suspect maybe because the wall is broken, whoever did it or whatever it is started from here. Then it started from this side. Then it started going upwards. So we were just inside. So when it got to closer to the stands, that is when we realized the flames coming up. Initially, we called the fire service. They came and then they quenched the fire. But after some time, after like an hour and 30 minutes, we saw the flames again come out. But when we called them, they said their car got stuck. So we couldn't do anything about it, just to watch the fire just burn like that. We've lost a lot of items. The chairs we fixed, the doors, the wooden doors, the sliding windows, we used glasses. Then the grass too, we planted it, it's all bent. And even due to that, we don't even have electricity here.
Let's connect to our regional correspondent, Castro Senyola. He joins us live. Castro, what more have you gathered about this fire?
Yes, so Beatrice, there is very little as far as information concerning the fire incident at the stadium is concerned. But what I understand is that the police and that of the Ghana National Fire Service have visited the scene and are working together to, first of all, find out what the cause of the fire was, and also to look at how they can make some arrests if possible. Because before the fire incident, we understand that some thieves had also come in, broken into some of the facilities and made away with some valuables, and the police are currently handling that case as within their mandate. So this is basically what is happening right now. At the moment, the entire place is quiet. The gate has been locked. No authority has come here yet, but we understand that the district executive for the area would be visiting within the week to interact with the gatekeepers and find the solution going forward.
Castro, we can see images of the facility, the burnt facility there, but you've been there. Can you describe to us the extent of damage, really?
Yes, so like the project manager rightly said, a lot of items have been torched, including the seats of one side of the section, which is badly damaged. A lot of the glasses of the windows have been burnt, doors made of wood have been burnt, and also the electric poles within the premises. Two of them have completely been destroyed by the fire that has actually resulted in a power cut to the facility. We also see that usually because of the savanna terrain of our area, what happens is that the grass usually dies or withers away. But when the rain begins to pour, the grasses would regenerate. But looking at the field, the fire has completely destroyed that grass, the withered grass, burnt it to ashes, and there appears to be no sign that when the rains come, the grasses would regenerate.
Castro, briefly before you go in, like 30 seconds, can you tell us how people are reacting to this fire, especially when we know that it was going to be commissioned in a number of months ahead of it?
Yes, Beatrice, the incident has actually sort of sparked anger among residents who in the past have called on the government to, as a matter of urgency, complete the very useful resource center and make it available for use. In 2022, a massive demonstration was staged against the government, calling for government to go by their way, because according to the government, the project was supposed to have started in 2018 and be completed in 2019. But after almost 4 years, the residents haven't seen anything, and so they went out on the streets to demonstrate against the government. And so this recent incident, fire incident, has sparked anger with people beginning to, doubt if government really pays attention to the concerns and needs of the people of the area.
Thank you very much, Castro Sanyala, reporting live from the Upper East region. Now, cardiovascular disease is the number one cause of death in adults in Ghana, with a significant portion being premature. Risk factors such as hypertension, diabetes, and other sicknesses have surged, exacerbating the burden of the disease. Emmanuel Samani is at the 2024 Annual General and Scientific Meeting of the Ghanaian Society of Cardiology and joins us live with some more on this. Samani, what else can you report? We've lost Samani on the line there, but he was going to give us an update about the surge in cardiovascular diseases in Ghana, and we've lost him there, but we'll try and reconnect to him and bring you some more in our subsequent bulletins. But that's how we end the news here on 3FM. Our top stories. Majority caucus in Parliament expected to elect new leadership after Osei Chairman Sabonso resigned as majority leader. We brought you some reactions from his constituency as well as some analysis. Also, cardiovascular disease is now the number one cause of death in adults in Ghana, with a significant portion being premature. My name is Beatrice. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.
The mic on. Time now, so Gobe lovers and Gobe Eaters Association, get ready for the biggest Gobe event in Ghana. When I wake up, in the morning. Gobe Nikoko is calling.
The 3FM Gobe Festival 2024 on Saturday 16th March at the Akramo Interchange Park from 9 a.m. Come experience a food festival interlaced with fun activities and music performances like never before.
Gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3FM.
Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily. Coming up, civil society groups threaten legal action over alleged substandard fuel flooding the Ghanaian market.
Stressing fails, you apply reasonable force, and that is when we are compelled to go to court.
Plus, road contractors describe government's 150 million Ghana cedis budget for nationwide potholes patching as inadequate, claiming they have woefully deteriorated.
You realize that most of these potholes are no longer potholes, they are manholes. So if you budget for pothole patching, and which has now degenerated into a manhole, that tells you that you need almost times 10 or times 5 an amount to fix the same thing.
I am Michael Obodu. Bring you details of our headlines and many more shortly. Please stay with us. Well, thank you for staying with us. Straight into our top story now. Civil society organizations, including the Institute for Energy Securities, IES, and the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, are considering legal action against the Ghana Standards Authority and the National Petroleum Authority. This comes after a press release from these organizations highlighted allegations that the Chinese Central Refinery has inundated the market with substandard fuel reportedly circulating in over 5 regions across the country. Speaking to 3 Business, Nana Mwesi, the 7th Executive Director of IES, emphasized the necessity of this call to action, citing concerns about the refinery operating without a license.
When persuasion fails, you apply reasonable force, and that is when we are compelled to go to court and seek redress. We'll do for the interest of the state and consumers. If government doesn't care, the civil society, domain really cares. We are worried about incident like this. If it's left to fester, then of course we see a breakdown in our own rules and regulation that is carved for the industry. And so we want the right thing to be done. I'm sure the MPA will respond positively, and I'm sure the Ghana Standard Authority will also do what is required of it. Because before a product is brought onto the market, you need to certify it for quality purposes. Did the Ghana Standard Authority certify same? Did they ensure that the Central refinery is playing by our specification? If not, they either correct it or we are compelled to seek redress from the court of law.
So that was the Executive Director of the Institute of Energy Security, IES, Nana Mwesi, the 7th, speaking. Now, away from that, the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry has criticized the recently approved 150 million Ghana cedi budget for the patching of potholes across the country, deeming it woefully inadequate. The government allocated these funds to contractors in an attempt to address the issues of deteriorating roads. However, CEO of the chamber, Emmanuel Cherry, emphasized that this amount is insufficient to cover even the basic repair work in the Greater Accra region alone.
You realize that most of these potholes are no longer potholes, they are manholes. So if you budget for pothole patching, and which has now degenerated into a manhole, that tells you that you need almost times 10 or times 5 an amount to fix the same thing. That's supposed to have been fixed earlier. So because of our negligence, we have abandoned these little things, thinking that, it's nothing. But that is now slapping us at our face. So therefore, we advise and plead with His Excellency that in as much as he has started, we don't know the formula or the rationales behind the release of the 150 million. They say it's first quarter. But first quarter, is it 2024 first quarter or 2023 first quarter? But 2023, I have not heard anything of this nature. So to us, Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, we presume that this particular release is 2023 first quarter. If that happens, then which means they should quickly lump up all the remaining quarters and give it out, so that a lot of massive road patchings, roadside weedings and what have you, maintenance, and then the bituminous products, and then the graveling, all these things at least.
So that was the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, Emmanuel Cherry, speaking. Now, moving on, the Bank of Ghana has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Development Bank Ghana (DBG) to commission a study on innovative financing for micro, small, and medium enterprises (MSMEs) in Ghana. According to the First Deputy Governor, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afari, the findings will ensure that perceived risks associated with lending to SMEs are eliminated.
This innovative way of opening the door to MSMEs is already happening. And what I think this project is going to do is to give us a bit more evidence, to be able to have evidence-based policy making to support our policy decisions with rigorous analytical work, because we need evidence to support it, instead of going into the sandbox and then beginning to get evidence. This will also help us. So for me, this is landmark, and this is critical, and this is consistent with the policy direction of the central bank and with the initiative and the versatility of DBG. And I have to give them credit, because nobody will expect that the development bank will be at the forefront of pushing the horizon of innovation and digitalization.
That was First Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afari, speaking. Now, the MSME Innovative Financing Project will be conducted by the University of Ghana Business School. Addressing the media, coordinator Professor Eric Osei-Asibe made a case for the shift from traditional forms of financing to SMEs.
One of the key issues with providing finance to MSMEs is the fact that it's highly risky, right? The default risk probability in that area is very high, NPLs is high, so the banks are often unwilling to advance credit, right? So would technology help? Would financial technology help? With AI, generative AI help? With data analytics help? Where they're using the historical transactions and business performance to actually gauge have a predictive insight on the character of the person, on the behavior of the person, so that when you know that for real, you may not even need collateral, which tend to exclude many of them from accessing loans.
So that was the voice of Professor Eric Osei-Asibe. He's the coordinator for the MSME Innovative Financing Project, bringing an end to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obudu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.
Accra gets busy on